In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at how we can use paths to animate animals within our Pacific migrations work. So let's first of all create a CoSpace. Click on here. I've logged in already. So click on here. I'm going to choose an empty scene and a 3D environment. And now that I've got my blank space, I'm going to create my environment down here. I'm going to click on Edit, and I'm going to click on the ocean. So now we have our ocean and we can move around it. Now obviously as part of our Pacific migration, we'll learn that birds, for example, and marine life like whales and dolphins, etc., gave the navigators of the Pacific the clues and information that they needed to navigate between different islands and different land masses. So we're going to use paths to indicate how, or illustrate how birds, for example, would give information about where land was. So first of all, we're going to come back to library here, and we're going to let's just drag an island in just to give ourselves some space. That's pretty big, so let's scale that down. This is where we're going to set off from. I'm going to click on the camera and drag it back. I like to get the camera in the corner here so we can actually have the biggest possible view. Let's put this back here. I'll click on my island and I'll put that underneath, so when we click on play we can see there's our island and we can see what's going on. Let's come back to here. So now what I want to do is I want to make a path. So I'm going to come back to library and click on special. I'm going to click on the circular path and I'm going to drag it out onto the ocean here. Once we've put the path into our scene, we can do almost anything with it. So you can see here it's set to the surface, and you can see that it's got some blue editing points here, so we can use those. So first of all, let's just lift it off the ground, because our birds are going to be flying, so we want them above the ocean. And that means that we can do all kinds of things now. So I'm going to just move this around. I can just move these anywhere I want to, and it just gets spread them out so we can make the birds move all over the ocean. So I'm just going to, we can fiddle around with these a bit more later on. But you want to try and make big, smooth, swooping movements. One of the things that you can do that makes your animation look really weird is have, as you can see here, little kinks, and what will happen is when you put your bird on here, you can see the chevrons, it will come around here and it will sweep round and whip back the other way. So you want to, when you do your points here, you want to make sure that everything is nice and smooth. Now, birds obviously don't fly in a straight and horizontal plane. They react to things. So perhaps, for example, they'd seen some food in the ocean, so you want them to, we can bend this right down here, you want them to swoop down to the ocean. So what I've done is I've swooped down here, so I'm just going to come in here and just move this down a bit more. So now this bird, when it is going to swoop around the ocean here, and so let's just do some more of this. So I'm going to put this one down here as well, like that, and I might make this one raise up a little bit more. And again, try and keep your action smooth. It's probably getting a bit tight here, so I'm going to move this one further away. That's looking better. And so now I've got a swooping motion, but again it's still pretty straight, so I'm going to, perhaps I'll move this up here a bit more. Move this up a bit more, like that. But again, I've kind of created a kink, so I'm going to move it this way like this. So I've got this bird swooping in like a big figure of 8, as you can see here, and probably that is not too flash there. So I'm just going to try to keep these movements as smooth as possible. So there is the migratory or the feeding pattern of my particular bird, and I've made this path. You can also, if you right click on the path, you can edit the path and you can actually add more node points if you want to, but again that's fine. Just make sure that your path, the gap between these paths is nice and smooth, so you get a nice smooth action. And I think what I'm going to do here is I will use this, and I'll just raise this up a bit more here, so our bird is moving around in a kind of a nice action here. And if we look at this, so now the next thing we need to do is we need to add our bird to that path. Now unfortunately, click on library here and come to animals, we can look at land, water and air. I'm going to click on air. If we look at the various birds that we've got lots of pterodactyls and dinosaurs. We don't have any sea creatures, unfortunately. We've got a vulture, we've got a parrot, an owl and a sea eagle here, or what so I'm going to use this. You could of course make your own soaring bird like an albatross, and you could make that work for you, but you wouldn't be able to animate it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to animate this. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to switch the animation to fly, and you can see here that the bird is going to be flying, and I'm now going to click on attach, and I'm going to attach it to somewhere on here. So now my bird's going to fly in an anti-clockwise direction around my path here. And let's have a look at how what this is going to look like. So I need to now make sure that my camera is going to capture this. So I'm going to click on my camera and I'm going to just turn it a little bit so I can see that. Obviously I want the camera to, the bird to sort of swing past me, so I might actually make modify this and make it swoop over the island as well. So I'm going to come to code now, and I'm going to use CoBlocks, and I'm going to make it full screen to make life a bit easier for us all, and I'm going to use a control. I'm going to use a forever block, and then I'm going to use a transform block, and I'm going to use this one here. I'm going to click on move. Mistake. I haven't added the bird to the CoSpaces, so I can't see it round here. I'm looking for that. So that's a mistake. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close this, and I'm going to click on the bird, and I'm going to click on code, and I'm going to use it in CoBlocks. And while I'm at it, because I'm going to use multiple paths, I might actually change this to, because I'm going to have multiple paths, I'm going to change it to bird path as well. There we go. So let's come back to code again now. Now we're going to move the eagle along the bird path. And what I recommend you do is you use a long period of time here. So what this is going to, we want the bird to take a long time to move around the path. So I'm going to put in 20 seconds here. And it will take a full 20 seconds for it to swoop around. And to make the animation more natural, you know, you need long times like this. So let's have a look at this, what this is going to look like. I'm going to click on play. There we go. And our bird's swooping off over the ocean. And you can see it flying around, following our path, and you should see it dive down a bit. It should come towards us. Might dive towards the ocean. It's a bit abrupt, that turn. It's coming back. There we go, climbing up, and then it should dive back down again. Oh yeah, there we go. So we can tweak this. And make the animation look a lot better. But now this will just keep playing. Obviously, you can put multiple paths and multiple birds on different paths. You can have a flock, and this is a really good way of making the animation look more real. I would say some of those turns are a bit too severe, so I can edit that. But now I want to add another secret. I can see where the severe turn is, but we've got some nice swooping action going on here, and we can make that better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to here, I'm going to come back to animals and click on water, and this time I'm going to add a whale. And what I want the whale to do is, so let's right click on this, add it to CoBlocks. I'm going to animate it. I want it to breach, and so it's going to have this breaching action. And again, I'm going to add it to a path. So we're going to come to special here, and I'm going to click on special. I'm going to click on the path. Now obviously this has got to stay on the ocean, and again it's got to be quite big, so I'm just going to make this and smooth. So from this vantage point, I just want the whale to swim around a big chunk of the ocean in a nice smooth manner. So I'm just going to have my whale move around like this in a feeding motion. So now I'm going to attach this to one of these points and make sure I choose the right path, this one. And I think probably my whale is too big, so I'm going to scale him down a little bit. And I'm going to come back to code, and I'm going to click, this time I'm going to click on the tab up here because I want these to be separately, otherwise they'll play at the same time, one after the other, sorry. I'm going to click on the forever block again, come back to the transform block, and this one here, and this one I'm going to move whale onto the round path this time, and we're going to get him to move, whales move much slower, so I'll make this 30 seconds, but again you can make it a lot longer than that. Click on play, and so now in the distance there we can see our whale broaching the waves as it swims around the path. Obviously it's skidding through the ocean there a bit too quickly, so I think we can slow that right down as well. But there we go. That's how you can create more animation inside your CoSpaces as you move your walker over your ocean and add more details in the sky. Obviously we can add stars and other bits and pieces like that, and we can make our animation more realistic and more engaging.